In tonight's news edition, a royal decree accepts the resignation of the Minister of Interior and refer to retirement both the Director of Public Security and Director General of the Gendarmerie. The Yemeni president attends a crisis conference in Riyadh while the UN envoy to Yemen calls on the Saudi-led coalition to extend a humanitarian truce. And Libya's Coast Guard detained some 400 illegal migrants from Somalia and Ethiopia after being alerted of their intention to head to Italy. Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. A royal decree has accepted the resignation of Hussein Majali from his post as Minister of Interior and referred to retirement both the Director of Public Security, General Tawfiq Hamid Tawalbe, and Director General of the Gendarmerie, General Ahmed Swelmiyin. A statement by the Royal Court said the decision came in light of the imperative need to implement laws and regulations as well as the rule of law equally on all. Furthermore, the resignation came due to a failure by Jordan's defense system comprising the public security and the gendarmerie to coordinate among one another over issues that affect the security of Jordanians and the stability of the kingdom. The statement went on to say that His Majesty the King has utmost concern over enforcing the rule of law and promoting the principle of security for all, as well as according zero tolerance towards anyone who may incite sedition and discord in the country. It also reiterated His Majesty's keen interest in guaranteeing that all parties concerned work efficiently and in sync according to the Constitution. His Majesty has also directed the government to re-examine and redirect the leadership of both the public security and the gendarmerie in a manner that achieves the highest levels of security and stability according to the statement. His Majesty the King officiated a solar power plant installed within the Royal Hashemite Court compound expected to generate 5.6 megawatts of solar energy. The project responds to His Majesty's directives to set up renewable energy plants and to promote alternative energy sources that may cover the need of the Royal Court offices in a step aimed at cutting down on the energy bill and preserving the environment. Trial operations began at the plant 3 weeks ago, and work is underway to complete the remaining phase of the project in various locations within the Royal Court, including Husseiniya Palace. The officiation ceremony was attended by the Prime Minister as well as cabinet members and Royal Court officials. Over to Yemen, and a crisis conference convened in Saudi Arabia today, hosting Yemeni parties to discuss ways of ending the political turmoil in Yemen. Yemen's President Abd Rabbo Mansour Hadi, as well as the Vice President, attended the conference. Addressing the meeting, Hadi said the Iran-allied Houthi must quit cities they have captured since they moved on Sana'a and pushed his government aside in September last year. He also reiterated that they should not be allowed to take advantage of the truce to expand more and kill civilians. UN envoy to Yemen, Mauritanian diplomat Ismail Ould Sheikh Ahmed, appealed to the conference for an extension on the humanitarian truce to allow more aid to be delivered to Yemenis. Relief groups say that the 5 days were hardly enough to allow sufficient supplies to reach the country of 25 million. Since Tuesday, Saudi-led forces and Yemen's Houthis have largely observed the ceasefire, but according to residents, sporadic clashes have continued with at least 15 killed overnight in the cities of Taiz and Dalia.
It's necessary to work to achieve the strategic objectives of Operation Decisive Storm and Operation Restoring Hope to achieve a withdrawal of militias from the cities they have occupied and not letting these militias take advantage of the truce to further expand and kill civilians.
In Iraq, Daesh terrorists overran one of the last remaining districts held by government forces in the city of Ramadi and besieged a key army base. The terrorists seized most of Ramadi on Friday, planting their black flag on the local government headquarters in the center of the city, but a contingent of Iraqi special forces was holding out in the Mal'ab neighborhood. Those forces retreated today to an area east of the city after suffering heavy casualties, which brought Ramadi to the brink of falling to Daesh. Ramadi is the first major urban center to be seized by the terrorists in Iraq since security forces and parliamentary groups began pushing them back last year. Meanwhile, and in the ongoing war on Daesh terrorists, U.S. and allied forces launched 18 airstrikes against them in Iraq since yesterday morning, including 7 near Ramadi, the western provincial capital, recently seized by the terrorists. The Combined Joint Task Force said the strikes near Ramadi hit targets including tactical units, a facility producing improvised explosive devices, and other buildings. Other airstrikes in Iraq hit near Baiji, Fallujah, Mosul, Sinjar, and Tal Afar. The task force said U.S. and coalition forces also launched 8 airstrikes in Syria, including near Al-Hasaka and Kobani. Clashes erupted between Jews marking Israeli Jerusalem Day and Palestinians who were protesting against the event near the old city walls of Jerusalem. The clashes took place during the annual Flag Dance March as the participants prepared to pass through the Muslim quarter of the city. 2 police officers were injured by rocks and 6 Palestinians were arrested. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas attended a ceremony at St. Peter's Square in Vatican City, where Pope Francis named 2 Palestinian women as saints. Both nuns lived in the late 1800s. Abbas, who met with the Pope yesterday, said in a statement, the example of the 2 canonized saints affirms Palestinian determination to build a sovereign, independent, and free Palestine based on the principles of equal citizenship. He called on Palestinian Christians not to emigrate, but to stay on and enjoy the rights of equal citizenship and bear with others the difficulties of life until liberty, sovereignty, and human dignity are achieved. A delegation of senior clergy, including Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem Fuad Atwal, also attended the canonization of Sister Marie Alphonsine Daniel Ghattas, founder of the Sisters of the Most Holy Rosary of Jerusalem, and Maryam Bouardi, who founded a Carmelite convent in Bethlehem.
Maryam Alphonsinam Daniel Ghattas et Maryam.
Libya's coast guards detained some 400 illegal migrants from Somalia and Ethiopia after being alerted of their intention to board a boat headed to the Italian coast of Lampedusa. The migrants, 40 of whom were women, some pregnant and sick, planned to board boats to Europe's shores, but bad weather conditions delayed their departure. They were arrested and taken to a Tripoli police station before being transported to a holding center for illegal migrants. Human traffickers and smugglers have taken advantage of the increased chaos in Libya, struggling with warring factions and political parties that claim control over different parts of the country, and migrants using Libya as a launching pad for their journey to Europe continues to grow. Sea rescue pictures taken by Italian police during a rescue operation on Thursday show the reality of overcrowded migrant voyages. Several migrants could be seen in the boat's hold through open trap doors it escorted towards the police vessel. A suicide car bomber rammed a European Union vehicle near the main airport in Afghanistan's capital, killing 2 Afghan civilians and a British security contractor in the latest attack in the city. The Taliban claimed responsibility for the attack. We'll get more in this report.
At least 3 people have been killed and at least 18 others wounded after a suicide bomber drove into a European Union vehicle in Kabul on Sunday. Police said the attacker rammed a European Union police mission vehicle on the road from Kabul's main airport. The UPOL advises Afghan law enforcement authorities. Officials from that agency said none of the mission's personnel were killed, but are being treated for injuries. This witness said he was on his way to work when he heard the explosion. He said he saw wounded children lying on the ground and helped get them medical attention. At the hospital, a mother holds an intravenous drip over her daughter. She was at school with other students when the blast occurred. This 13-year-old suffered a head wound. "I was in class studying when the windows broke," she said. Doctors said about 25 civilians have been brought in for treatment. The Taliban have claimed responsibility for the attack. A spokesperson for the group said 7 foreign troops were killed, but they often inflate their casualty numbers. The Taliban have been trying to gain new ground since the drawdown of foreign forces last year.
Back here at home, Her Majesty Queen Rania met with members of the Board of Trustees of Al Aman Fund for the Future of Orphans, which celebrate its 10th anniversary this year. Team members serve youth after graduating from orphanages through the provision of vocational training programs as well as psychosocial support. During the meeting, chaired by Her Majesty, the Fund's 214 annual report and a summary of its main achievements was presented. The Fund for the Future of Orphans was founded in 2006 to provide orphaned youth in Jordan with the necessary education and skill to become self-reliant and active members of the community. Since then, it has served a total of 2,559 students. More than half of them pursued university education and graduated with a degree. The Shanghai Tower, set to be the world's 2nd tallest building when it's complete in the summer, opened its doors for a preview. The skyscraper is set to house mainly financial institutions and government agencies, according to the architecture firm behind the project. The 120 floors of the 632-meter structure will make the building the tallest in China, but bringing it just under 200 meters lower than Burj Khalifa in Dubai. Chief architect Marshall Strabala said he was confident that the building would be a commercial success and not stand empty once it is finished. On a more superstitious note, he said being the 2nd tallest building meant that it would avoid the tallest building curse.
No. That's the world's tallest building curse. So when Sears Tower was built, there was a recession. When the Petronas Towers were built, there was a recession. When the Burj Khalifa was built, there was a recession. This is not the world's tallest building, so there's no recession. So that's the world's tallest building curse, not the skyscraper curse. So it's actually better to be number 2 than number 1.
Britain's Paul Bonham claimed the inaugural Japanese Red Bull Air Race in front of 60,000 fans in Japan. The win extended his lead at the top of the Red Bull Air Race World Championship. Bonham, flying just 25 meters above the sea on a tricky course, finished ahead of Australia's Matt Hall and Germany's Matthias Dolderer in 2nd and 3rd respectively, with a score of 12.0. In winning Japan's first ever Red Bull Air Race, Bonham cements his lead at the top of the overall standings with 24 points. The next race takes place in Croatia on May 30th. The top 8 international lumberjack athletes met for the world's toughest lumberjack race. It ended with Australia's Brad DeLosa outdoing all the others in a high-energy final spurt and with a new world record. Delosa cut up 4 tree trunks with the axe and saw in less than 58 seconds. In the final, Delosa beat Andrew Cougar Jr. of the U.S. into second place. Some 2,500 spectators followed the competition in the famous Piazza Michelangelo, overlooking the old part of the Tuscan city. And finally, a quick look at the weather. Moderate conditions in most regions tonight with light variable winds. A slight rise in temperatures expected tomorrow, creating relatively hot weather in hilly areas and hot in other parts of the country with southeasterly moderate winds. The Gulf of Aqaba should expect hot conditions tomorrow with northerly moderate to brisk winds and calm seas. Next are the lows and highs for tonight and tomorrow. To end the news, here's a reminder of our top stories. A royal decree accepts the resignation of the Minister of Interior and referred to retirement both the Director of Public Security and Director General of the Gendarmerie. The Yemeni president attends a crisis conference in Riyadh while the UN envoy to Yemen calls on the Saudi-led coalition to extend a humanitarian truce. And Libya's Coast Guard detained some 400 illegal migrants from Somalia and Ethiopia after being alerted of their intention to head to Italy. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news. I'm Nancy Khair. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.